In the heart of Indonesia lies Jakarta, a city on the brink of a crisis. The future of the second largest metropolitan city in the world hangs in a precarious balance. Behind the scenes, a series of environmental catastrophes have silently unfolded over the course of decades, with minimal intervention from the authorities. However, the time for reckoning has arrived. Welcome to our YouTube video, where we embark on a thought-provoking journey exploring the sinking city of Jakarta and the audacious quest to find a new capital. Join us as we dive deep into the complexities, the controversies, and the dreams surrounding the monumental task of moving the unmovable. Jakarta, once a vibrant symbol of progress, is now sinking into uncertainty. Rising sea levels, rapid urbanization, and excessive groundwater extraction have become a grave threat to the city's future. In a bold move to overcome these challenges, the national government of the world's fourth most populous country is taking a radical approach. It's moving away to build a brand new capital, 1,000 kilometers away to a completely different island. But can a city of over 11 million people be relocated? Can a capital's identity be uprooted and replanted elsewhere? Welcome to Jakarta, the bustling hub of Indonesia's politics, business, and finance. As the brain of a trillion-dollar economy country, the largest economy in Southeast Asia, Jakarta plays a vital role in the region. It is a vibrant melting pot, where more than 750 ethnic groups from across the nation come together. In addition to serving as Indonesia's capital, Jakarta holds the diplomatic capital status of ASEAN, which can be likened to Europe's European Union. While Jakarta has been a prominent city for centuries, today, the city's metropolitan population has soared to approximately 35 million people, making Jakarta the second largest urban area globally, second only to Tokyo. Nevertheless, Jakarta faces its fair share of challenges, making it a less ideal choice as Indonesia's capital city in the 21st century. To start, the city has experienced a tremendous amount of urban growth in the past few decades. Back in 1945, at the beginning of the Second World War, the city's population was only 600,000 people. Today, in 2023, it had multiplied 19 times, to more than 11.5 million within the boundaries of the city proper, largely owing to massive internal migration from the rest of Indonesia. As the result of this massive growth, the city has been experiencing a substantial ecological breakdown, accompanied by intensely gridlocked traffic and congestion. Jakarta has often been named the world's worst city for traffic by multiple publications. But here are some ways to put it all in a perspective. It's been estimated that the average Jakarta resident will spend 10 years of their lifetime there in traffic. Even worse, Jakarta's population is still growing. By 2030, it is projected that there will be more than 40 million people living within the metropolitan area. More than the entire population of Canada, and even surpassing Tokyo, to become the world's newest, largest metropolitan city. But out of all of Jakarta's many problems, it's water that is the most severe. As with many coastal cities across the world, Jakarta is not unique in dealing with the threat of rising sea levels. But Jakarta's specific situation is rather unique, because on top of dealing with sea levels rising, the city is simultaneously sinking. Jakarta sits on a low-lying delta, where 13 rivers spill into the northwest coast of Java. For a coastal city to succeed in this waterlogged ecosystem, certain areas must strategically remain undeveloped to serve as flexible green spaces that can turn blue during storm to keep the rest of the city dry. Unfortunately, sustained, competent city planning has not been a strong suit of Jakarta. The city's 13 rivers, once a source of abundant fresh water, now suffer from severe pollution, rendering them unsuitable for drinking. While water pipes exist, they only serve about 60% of the population, primarily concentrated in affluent areas like South and Central Jakarta. Consequently, those without access to water pipes rely heavily on ground pumping to obtain fresh water. However, the extraction of subsurface water causes the soil above to compact and sink. The concrete-laden landscape inhibits rainfall from replenishing the aquifers below. As a result, Jakarta experiences land subsidence, with the city sinking at a rate of approximately 1 centimeter per year, and some areas witnessing alarming sinkage of up to 25 centimeters annually, posing a growing concern for the city. According to estimates, approximately 40% of Jakarta is already situated below sea level. This, combined with rising sea levels, has rendered the city highly vulnerable to storm surges. Furthermore, during the rainy season, the city experiences increasingly severe flooding events as the rivers swell. Without intervention, predictions suggest that within the next 27 years, by 2050, the entire city proper, with its population of over 11.5 million people, could be submerged beneath the sea, like a modern-day Atlantis. Fortunately, there is a plan to shield the city from the encroaching ocean by constructing an enormous sea wall spanning the entirety of Jakarta Bay. The envisioned giant sea wall will take the form of a colossal Garuda, the national symbol of Indonesia, adding an iconic touch to the structure and aiming to boost tourism. Additionally, the Jakarta Bay itself will be transformed into a water reservoir enclosed within the wall, serving as a new and expansive source of fresh, clean water for the city. Furthermore, the 13 rivers of Jakarta, which currently flow into the bay, are slated to undergo extensive cleaning and prevent the polluted outflows from turning the bay into a stagnant cesspool. Simultaneously, the colossal sea wall project is envisioned to serve as a focal point for Jakarta's urban development to accommodate additional population of 2 million people. However, this ambitious project comes with a substantial price tag of approximately $40 billion and has not been without its share of controversies. The implementation of the giant sea wall project presents significant challenges and concerns. Firstly, it would involve the eviction of residents living in the vicinity and the acquisition of private lands along the coast, which many locals rely on for their livelihoods. This raises ethical and social issues within the affected communities. Additionally, there are apprehensions regarding the potential catastrophic consequences if the sea wall were to fail due to an unforeseen and extraordinary occurrence. Such a failure could lead to severe flooding, ultimately resulting in the destruction of the city, rendering the wall's effectiveness questionable. Looking ahead, as sea levels continue to rise, the sea wall would become a critical vulnerability that Indonesia would need to defend at any cost. This poses significant security concerns and challenges for the future. Furthermore, constructing the giant sea wall brings forth a multitude of environmental concerns that will add another layer of complexity to the project. In 2019, President Joko Widodo, the current president of Indonesia, made a bold announcement to move the capital city away from Jakarta, considering the multitude of negative factors and the pressing need to alleviate the growing population pressure and sinking issues plaguing the city. The decision was driven by the recognition of the limitations of the existing plan to address the threat of permanent flooding and other challenges faced by the current capital. This decisive move by the national government marks the start of a quest for a new capital, which goes beyond simply rescuing Jakarta. The relocation presents an opportunity to envision a sustainable and resilient future for the country. By shifting the capital, the government aims to address the limitations and vulnerabilities associated with Jakarta while simultaneously creating a vision for a new city that can withstand the challenges of the future. Historically, since the 1950s, successive Indonesian governments have spoken about moving the country's administrative capital away from Jakarta. In January 2022, however, the parliament finally passed a bill to relocate the capital city to a jungle site over 2,000 kilometers away, which is located on Kalimantan, an entirely different island. The new capital, named Nusantara, will be constructed on a vast 2,500 square kilometers site, roughly 3 times the size of New York City. Most of this area is currently covered by eucalyptus monoculture forest that must be harvested every 7 years. The construction work on Nusantara, a $35 billion dreamscape city project, has already commenced this year. Flying over the jungles of Kalimantan, one can witness the initial phases of development taking shape. Roads, access routes, and the planned sites for the main government buildings have already been cleared of trees. The envisioned success of Nusantara lies in its ability to not only relieve the overcrowding in Jakarta, but also drive economic progress and development in the surrounding regions of the new capital, ultimately benefiting the entire country. Regarding Jakarta, despite the city encountering significant challenges in the upcoming decades, Widodo's vision involves urging millions of residents to migrate to the new capital on Borneo. This strategic relocation aims to alleviate a portion of the urban pressures, granting Jakarta the essential breathing space needed for recuperation and subsequent revitalization, paving the way for its resurgence and prosperity. We look forward to having you join us in our upcoming videos. And as always, thank you for tuning in.